Hey guys, and welcome to another Walk-In Wednesday. Now this week, I really overdid it. Actually every single day we have a couple of boxes of guns that come in the door. But this Wednesday in particular, just take a look at this. Here's what came in this Wednesday. So I've said before on several videos that every day is like Christmas around here. But this Wednesday in particular, it really was like Christmas. You should have seen us going through these boxes, opening up all these guns. But let me give you a little background and just start off by saying the guys around here have been calling me the Gun Santa. Santa! Oh my God! That's right. You all know the Gun Jesus, Ian McCullum over at ForgottenWeapons.com, and they've been trying to come up with a good nickname for me. And after these came in, definitely the Gun Santa.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
So when we started to unload these boxes, believe it or not, it took at least 4 hours to unpack everything and set it all up and go through the inventory. So in order to explain why I did this, I have to get a little political. Now I'm going to be politically neutral and try to just state facts and say, as a collector, and for all of you collectors out there, you're concerned about upcoming elections. If you're outside of the United States, you already know exactly what we're talking about. And generally, again, not to be political, but part of the Democratic platform is they want increased regulation on guns. Some people think that's a good idea and others do not. And so therefore, of course, if a Democrat is elected, and it's only a week away, by the time you watch this video, it's only a week from the elections. And by the way, get out and vote if you're in the US. But basically, if the Democrats win, then collectors are looking at probably, in time, some increased regulations. And therefore, people have been buying guns like crazy. Of course, if the Republicans win, then they assume that there's not going to be very many changes over the next 4 years. And then ironically, our sales will decrease because people will feel like, there's nothing to worry about. This has happened before, by the way, during other election times, but our sales are up at least 50%. And we don't even sell modern handguns. I mean, we do. We try not to buy them, but if they come as part of a collection, we do take some modern guns. Basically, we're only selling collectible handguns 1945 or earlier. But even on these, some of the regulations will touch some of the guns, particularly mag capacity guns. So all that is to say, that's a good reason for me to overdo it. I went out and bought a collection and just bought up as many guns as I possibly could. And these guns, I'm going to take you to Santa's workshop in a minute. You already saw a preview of this on the thumbnail. If you look at the thumbnail, that's the haul that came in these boxes that you just saw. And we're anticipating getting as many of these guns on the website. I can't give you our website because that would violate YouTube rules, but if you're clever, you'll figure out Legacy Collectibles. It's not that hard to find on the internet, but these guns will be going on our site in anticipation of increased sales over the next, actually between November and the end of the year, we would anticipate increased sales. Of course, if you're overseas, you already know what happens when your gun rights are restricted, because I get sob stories from many of you in some of the European countries that say it's just, you can still get collectible guns, but it's getting more and more difficult. Hey, follow me. Let's go take a look at Santa's workshop. So here's the haul that I was talking about. It's almost 200 guns. Don't bother to count them because actually I didn't put everything out, but I put most of it out. And no, I am not going to go over every single gun. But what I would like to do is highlight some interesting pieces. I think it'll be really educational just to go through some of the variety. But this is the kind of stuff that we sell the most on our website. Generally, we like to have mostly World War II guns and guns that were used in the war. We have some that are different than that, and I'm going to go over some rifles. But let's come a little closer. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the end and work my way across and just hit the highlights. Let's start at this front end and I'll work my way over. This is just a common World War II. It's actually a Mauser 1944 P38. That's a pretty common gun. And here's another P38, a little bit interesting, something worth talking about. This is a CYQ, which is the spree work gun. Spree work, they are infamous for using slave labor. And I know that that late war cog hammer, if you look at that cog hammer up close compared to this one, that's distinctly spree work 1945. They only made that at the very end of the war. And it comes in this holster, which is dated 1941. So the gun's 45. We see this a lot. Probably somebody just picked up a holster, stuck them together. We may or may not keep them together, but this embellishment, we see this a lot. People say, does that make it worth more money? Not really. The price of the pin, sometimes, so this is a hat ornament. And so usually the GIs, because this was their bring home treasure, they would take a hat ornament and just stick it on there. You can just see it's just folded on. But like I said, it's a hat ornament that somebody stuck on the holster. Generally, the Germans wouldn't have done that. It would be defacing government equipment. But when the GIs captured this stuff, I've seen them with ornaments all over them. Doesn't really add or detract. It's just an interesting part of the story. Now we come to a broom handle Mauser. Many of you have asked me about doing a broom handle, and the reason I haven't is I really don't know a whole lot about brooms. They're not something that I personally collect. I always say to people, how did they get the name broom handle? Well, take a look. What do you think that looks like? It looks like a broom handle. This is reproduction, and that's why I wanted to point it out. See the quality of this leather and even the little button, how it's made. This wood looks like it's brand new. This wood looks pretty new. So this is a reproduction stock and leather. So even though this part is reproduction, you can see the gun, it's not reproduction. So this is a real gun that somebody took a reproduction. These are available. I'm not sure what the price is, but I'm thinking around $800 even for the reproduction, just because the craftsmanship on this stock is amazing. It has to open up, and then the gun fits perfectly down inside, and then you would carry that like a holster or around your chest or waist, and then that would be the broom handle. This one was issued to the military in World War I. I can tell from the imperial German marking that it was issued to the military. Okay, next you'll see I have another stock, but and as a side note, you'll notice that I am not attaching the stock to the gun. There are some ATF regulations about attaching these to a gun, and that makes it a short barrel rifle and becomes illegal for some people to own. However, some of them are exempt, and there's a list of exempt guns and non-exempt. So if you take a look at this one, it's not attached. So we just don't want to put anything on camera that might be illegal. So these accessories remain detached. But this stock in particular is marked Made in Canada, and it came with this Inglis, which is a Canadian World War II service weapon, made in 1944 or 1945. They do come with a decal. The decals are usually partially gone. But this is just like a Browning FN high power, but it was made by Inglis in Canada. I'll just show you quickly. Again, stock opens up. This is original, by the way. This is not repro. The gun fits down inside there, and yeah, it bothers me a little bit to do that, so I try not to do it very often, but I do want to show you that. This will be made available, and this would be one of the guns that will face restrictions because they have high capacity mags. These were the first mags where they stacked. You can see from the width that it wasn't a single row, but it was a stacked row, 2 rows. I believe it's 15 rounds. One more broom here I wanted to show you. This broom, the reason I wanted to show it to you, this is original, by the way. This is what they should look like. Shows a little bit of age. And this fits in here. This is a bolo. It's basically made by Mauser, not military. These were not used by the military, at least not that I know of, but they were sold in the commercial market. This does have a proof mark, and that's just a firing proof, no imperial proof. But in looking at the bolo, you can see that it's just a little bit smaller, and was very popular in the commercial market. So we have a bolo broom handle as well as a military broom handle, also known as the C96. You've seen these before, just a beautiful HSC. Look at the finish on that, how nice it is. And it does have a police marking, the Eagle L, and it came in this holster. Beautiful holster, goes well with the gun. And that eagle right there is a police proof mark. So this was accepted by the police to be used in the police force. And that's the holster and gun together. Beautiful setup. Here's an unusual one. Because it is French. French unique. Actually, when the Germans came into France, they took over the munitions factories and produced their own guns. And this was produced during the Nazi occupation. And the reason you can tell that is the proof mark on there is a Nazi proof, meaning this unique went into service in the German army. Makes it quite unique. Now, we've done Lugers quite a bit, and here's a nice Luger setup. You'll see that this is a 1915. So World War I era. This is in beautiful condition. This is a great find. 1915 artillery. It does have a stock. This is the artillery stock that goes with it. And let me demonstrate this because the artilleries also sometimes were issued with the snail drum. This happens to be a Type 1 snail drum. And this comes with a dust cover. Obviously, the dust cover, the purpose would keep the dust out. And this is a speed loader. If you ever try to load one of these, it's how many rounds? I've got 32 rounds here. This will hold, it looks like up to 32 rounds. And you put the speed loader on, pop it down on there, and then you just put the 9mm bullet in there, and it'll speed load it. So this is a nice setup. Push the button, and it pops right off. Okay, next we have something that you and I are very, very familiar with because I've done a lot of videos on Walther PPKs. This is just a stunning 22 caliber. It says on, you can't read it because you're not going to get that close. It says 22 caliber right on it. It was made in about 1938 because it is in the million serial range, if you take a look at that. For a brief period of time, they made them in the million range. Then they went back to 100,000 and they added the K to the end of the serial. This 22 caliber comes in this really nice AK holster. Check out that. See the AK marking? And then there's a patent trademark on there and a spare mag in this holster. A really nice little rig for a 22 caliber PPK. All right, I'm going to show you some, I have 3 Japanese weapons here. One's over there, so give me a second. I'll go get the other Japanese pistol. So here we have 3 Japanese handguns that were used during World War II. The first one is a revolver. You'll see the shape of the holster. That's how I can tell it's a Type 26. Type 26 was actually made well before the war. This one's interesting in that it looks like the vet who captured it. He put his name on there. Pouch holds some rounds. This is the Japanese revolver. It's got a little dust from the holster. We'll wipe that all down before we take pictures of it. But this is a Type 26, which was the predecessor before they came out with the semi-automatics. Then they came out, actually, this baby would have been made back in the 20s probably. Tokyo Arsenal, Baby Nambu. This one is in particularly nice condition, and it has the magazine. These will be numbered on the spine, and also the grips will be numbered to the gun. They have a little tiny proof mark right here. You may not be able to see that, but it's important. This is so nice, and most of them had pin pricking all over them from being out in the salt air. But when they buff it down, that tiny little marking will be removed, not on purpose, but accidentally. So the fact that it has the original proof stamp, very tiny proof stamp, tells me it's most likely original finish. Next would be the Type 14. That's considered a clamshell holster for obvious reasons. You open it up, we can see some Japanese writing, maybe a serial number that it would go with the gun, but maybe it was the person's name. Actually, we do have Japanese customers that could probably, in the comment section, tell us what that says or what that indicates. This gun is early because it has the small trigger guard. Later, they went to a larger trigger guard so that you could get your finger in there with gloves on. I'd have rubber gloves, but with regular gloves on, you want to be able to get your finger in. This one, by the date here, tells me it was made in 1939. In fact, a month of 4, which would be April of 39, is when this was made. So before the United States got into the war. And this one actually comes with 2 matching mags. You'll see the number 390 on the spine, as we talked before. And where is the second magazine? Well, if you're not looking for it, it's down inside there. Second magazine is numbered, and here's the cleaning rod. So you see a nickel cleaning rod, a second matching mag. Now this one actually comes with original straps, which is very, very rare to see them with the original straps. Usually the GIs, because this got tangled up and everything in their duffel bag, they just threw the holster in their duffel bag and brought it home this way. Finally, with the Japanese weapons is the Type 94. These were actually carried by air crews and tank crews for smaller spaces. They found the Type 14 was a little too cumbersome in tight enclosed spaces like a cockpit of a plane. So this was used by tankers and flight crews and probably other people as well. It was heavily criticized for being dangerous because when you bang the sear bar, if it's cocked and you bang the sear bar, the gun will go off. And so there's information on the internet that says the Japanese called it the suicide gun, not because they committed suicide, but because they killed themselves when they were cleaning it. Some of that is reported to be just made up stories, but you hear it all the time that this was a very dangerous weapon. And actually, I saw something on the History Channel that talked about this being one of the most dangerous weapons ever made during the war. I can't say that's absolutely true. Other people have said they shoot it and it's not that big a deal. So you guys think I'm not going to make it through here? Well, I really won't. So from now on, what I'm going to just do is pick out some highlights. This is a BYF 41 with the black grips, often called a Black Widow. This, when we put it on the site, won't last long because Black Widows are among the most popular Lugers that we sell. And again, in the unique gun category, this is a 22 caliber PP. And it has these unique grips, which was a factory option, which it's actually got an extended magazine, not extended capacity, but extended magazine, 22 caliber, extended magazine just for grip comfort. But this was a factory option. Not too many people picked it, and therefore, whenever you see one of these, they actually bring quite a premium. Here's an antique. I don't usually sell antiques, but this was included with a collection of guns. This is, I believe, called a sheriff's model, and it comes with a factory letter saying that it was issued in nickel finish. So this is the original nickel, and it was shipped in May of 1884. It is a model 1878, and I'm told it's called a sheriff's model. Oh, by the way, it comes in 44 caliber. Here's one you haven't seen in this lot before, but this is a CZ27 made in the CZ or Czech factory. Very popular, easy to take down, 32 caliber. Again, occupied by the Nazis during the war, and they made a military model. Here's a phosphated one that has, you won't be able to see it, but on this side there's a Waffen-proof on the frame. This gun is very late war. You can see the whole gun is phosphated, including the magazine. If I take this magazine out, you can even see the magazine is phosphate. So the whole gun is a phosphate finish, which makes it a little bit rare, but that is the military model. It's got a military Waffen stamp, and this one has a Police Eagle K, so this was issued to the police. CZ27. I wanted to point out this one. I love this gun because it's an RZM. Gotta love the RZM. These are our inventory numbers. You can ignore that. The blue tags are not original to this gun, but the RZM marking is. And this is called a box mag, but unfortunately, Somebody must have broken off it. Actually, here's a picture of a full one, but whoever had this one broke it off and then buffed it down, so I guess they wouldn't cut their fingers. But again, it's for grip. Maybe they did it on purpose because they had a really fat hand and they didn't like they didn't like the way it was designed, so they custom made it to fit their hand. But that is an RZM with a box mag. It's just again, it's a regular magazine, but the extended bottom was there for grip comfort. Next in the row is a Sauer 38H. This has a Eagle 37, which is the Sauer proof mark. So this was issued to the German military. It's got a dull finish, which tells me it's in the middle. It was made sometime in the middle of the war. We've talked about these when we did a video. If you want to check it out, we did the guns that are under $1,000 that are good investments. Those guns, by the way, have all crept up in value since I've done that video. But this gun is like the PPK, very easy to shoot, very easy to take apart, very popular Sauer 38H. This one I wanted to highlight because it has to be one of the last one made. The serial number is in the 500,000 range, but it has no finish at all on it, which tells me it was taken from the factory at the end of the war, probably by the people who took over the factory. Now that rear sight is a blued finish, but one of the reasons I know this was taken right from the factory, no slide legend at all, no markings at all, no finish at all. You can see the firing proof mark on what I call the tang of the frame. This one has no firing proof marks here. There would be firing proof on the barrel, and there's no proof marks at all on this gun or any other markings such as the slide legend. Now, as I look across this sea of guns, what I'm going to try to do is pick out some of the unique ones not yet mentioned. As you see, there's a lot of P38 rigs, a lot of Luger rigs. You're going to have to just go on to the website, the name that shall not be mentioned. But if you go to our website, you will find these hopefully in the next week or two, at least through the time of the election. But here's one that we haven't talked about yet. It's a Walther Model 8 and a cute little 25 caliber. They're all commercial. Then some of them were sold private sales to officers. There is documentation of officers carrying these, but this would be like something you would keep in your vest pocket in case you need a throwdown gun. Oh no, that's what detectives do. Never mind. Military doesn't do throwdown guns. And even better, if you think that's a good one, here's one for the missus. They call this a purse gun. I don't know why they get the name purse gun, but it actually came, they would issue it with, this is an option. You would buy this. Does anybody know what's inside here? You'd be right if you said a Walther. Oh, actually, I thought it was a Walther 9. The Model 9 fits in here perfectly, but this one happens to come with a Model 5. I believe that's a 5. The Model 2 and the Model 5 look very much alike, and I can tell by serial number which it is, and I'll look that up before I put it on the website. Again, a little baby 25 caliber fits inside this little woman's purse, and I think I'll give that to my wife so she can carry that around. Oh heavens, I almost skipped over these Radums. Actually, they're called a Viz, and I've been corrected many times by my fellow collectors in Poland. You can see the Viz on this side of the grip, which is a Latin word for strength, and these are called the Viz in Europe, throughout Europe. Unfortunately, people in the United States happen to call them Radum, which is the town it came from, but there's two really nice Radums here. This one is slotted, so it's earlier, and non-slotted. So you see some of the variations: slotted, non-slotted, black grip, red grip, and then the later ones had, even later, were wooden grips. Here's one you haven't seen before. It's known as an orgy. I used to always call them an orgy. I don't know why anybody, this is like a gun orgy, but this one comes in 9mm, which is a larger than normal caliber. 9mm orgy. These were all sold in the commercial market. I don't know that any were issued to the military other than private purchase. And it was, the factory was in the town of Erfurt. And as you know, they also made Erfurt Lugers. Here's one more from the World War I area. It's a Dreiss I don't know much about these. Very odd looking gun, but collectors do like these as a good example of perhaps an officer's pistol from World War I. Again, not military marked, but commercial marked with the crown and proof. And it comes in .32 caliber. This one is not quite the condition of the artillery I showed you earlier. It was in 1915. This is actually 1914, and it is Erfurt. I just mentioned the Erfurt factory. They made Lugers. This is definitely from World War I, made in 1914. 1914 was the only year that Erfurt made artillery, so this is a pretty rare gun. The condition is not excellent, but it's all original, all matching, except for the magazine. So the Erfurt artillery Luger with the extended barrel comes in 9mm. Hey, I skipped over a couple of Mausers, so let me backtrack a little bit. This one I just did a video on. The condition, you can see somewhere here, but as we look at the other side, I just did Navy guns of the Third Reich. You see the Navy marking here, and that is the closed wing eagle. So just did a video on that, and it comes with an O property mark on the front strap. And interestingly, it does not have a matching mag. We have an inventory tag on there, but it has N property mark, N for Nordsee, N property mark on the bottom of the magazine, even though the front grip strap has the O property mark, Navy issue. This will be very popular and go very quickly. And speaking of Mausers, here's, so this is a type, this is a model 1934. Here we have the model 1914. Remember when we talked about the hump versus no hump? Did that in the video. Hump on the grip, no hump on the 14, .32 caliber again. I believe that's a police marking. And it comes with a numbered magazine that matches the gun. And the police, typically the police numbered these in their arsenal and numbered 2 magazines to match. I believe this, yeah. It just has a unit mark, which again, I believe is police. I'll do a little bit of research before we list that. And then finally, here's this beautiful baby. This is a 1910, comes in .25 caliber. So you see the difference between a 1910, a 1914, and then finally the 1934. Oh my gosh, finally something American. Here is a model 1908 nickeled Colt. This was sold in the commercial market, very popular. These come in .32 caliber, and this is original nickel Colt. All the way across the floor, I was able to, here's another, that was a model 1908. This is a model 1903. Comes in the original box, numbered to the gun. These are numbered, by the way. This is .32 caliber. They also came in .380, and that would be a model 1908, and they're numbered by pencil. This one's very clear. Some of them are kind of worn over the years, but that's the matching number to this gun. Again, hand numbered, so it could be erased and renumbered, but usually you'll see markings of where they erased it and renumbered it. I got one like that recently, and I just say in the description, likely it was renumbered. I already showed you a high power, actually the Inglis, which is the Canadian model. And again, they had a licensing agreement with the FN factory, I assume before the war started, because the Nazis certainly didn't license them to make the product. But Inglis had a licensing agreement. But this is what a wartime, there is a wartime Nazi occupation, FN Browning. You can see the Waffenproofs. If you look right here, Waffenproofs are on the gun. This has the tangent sight, or elevation sight, tangent sight, and it comes with, in this holster, and it has a spare mag. You can, the holster is distinct because you can see the width of the magazine will not fit in a typical holster. This one happens to be dated 1940 and probably made in about 1940. The magazines, by the way, will have the same Waffenproof. You won't be able to read it, they're very faint, but you'll take my word for it. This is, I think, Eagle 103. And then I have a later war one, which is Eagle 140. You can see that later they did away with the tangent sight. See the fixed rear sight? This one is Waffenproofed as well. Magazine is Waffenproofed. But this is a later war. duller finish. Notice it has a duller finish than the earlier gun, and again, to save production time and money, they did away with the tangent sight. And reaching all the way across, see, I'm getting to the other side here. Reaching all the way across, here's a star. This is made in Spain. Spain was officially neutral, but of course they had a fascist in power. They had been in a civil war for many years, a very bloody civil war. And so they didn't enter the war necessarily as a belligerent, but they did supply weapons to the Nazi regime, and that it would included the Astra. They did several variations of Astra that were Nazi-proofed. Here is a Star B, which is similar in design to the Colt 45. If you look at that, it looks a lot like a Colt 45. Comes in 9mm, and this one, again, on the Tang, you will see the Waffen stamp, 9mm, issued to the German Army, Waffen stamp on the Tang of the frame. This one is in particularly good condition, comes with a spare mag and a shoulder holster. So a nice, very popular rig. I mentioned we have a number of P38 rigs, and they'll be showing up on our website. Usually nothing very unusual. They're pretty standard guns. They've been definitely going up in price, but this one is very unusual. It looks like an AC no date. They usually have AC and then the date underneath. So it was a AC 40, AC 41, 2, 3. This one is an AC no date, but falls outside the serial range for a no date. I don't see any signs that the date was removed, so this could be a factory error or an overrun. They just didn't add the 40. I have to do a little research on this one, but this is going to get people talking. It's a very unusual P38 with no date, AC no date, which would be a very rare gun, but it falls outside the known range, and it comes in a very nice, you see the P38 will have a maker mark, and this is dated 42. This is considered the hard shell holster versus the soft shell holster. Soft shell holster looks like this. And again, just lower production, lower cost, quicker to get out. This one is P38 marked and then dated 4, which would be 1944. I hate to bother you with one more Walther, but if you've seen me do a lot of boxed Walthers. This is what the early boxes look like. But then as the war progressed, they cut, this is just flimsy piece of cardboard. It has the serial number on the side, and then inside you see the later cleaning tin. You see a PP with the red grips, just absolutely unused condition. And finally, you see a wartime manual. The typical manual looks like this. And then this late war manual, which is very rare, comes within this box. The late war one looks like that. Now, interestingly, if you look at the picture, that's got the picture of that PP comes with a box mag, even though you almost never see them with the box mag. So this was a commercial gun. I believe from the serial number, it is from about 1943. I thought I was done with high powers, but here's one that was all the way over there in that corner. Almost forgot about it. This is a post-war gun. You see the tangent sight. You see how beautiful that gun is, and the crest. This actually comes with this shoulder stock and holster. Look brand new. These were made in the 60s, I believe 1963 or 64. And this was, it was actually a sales technique. The Sultan of Muscat, which is in Oman, the Sultan, if you look him up, the Sultan was going to put in a military order for guns. And of course, FN Browning wanted to sell them their guns for the military, and so they had about 30 of these made up. Now, I think the first 9 were flawed because they used the wrong, or they used a flawed crest, this Sultan crest. They used the wrong one, so the first 9 were discarded. But this is one of the ones that were presented as a favor to the Sultan in order to win the contract. Now, my understanding is they did not win the contract, so there's a few of these around, and they're fairly expensive because they were presentation guns to the Sultan, and you can just see how beautiful that is. So this is a rare gun that we'll put on the site. You do see it is cut out for the shoulder stock, which we will not attach so that we don't alarm any ATF agents. Let's look at this rare Luger. I'm almost done. I'm going to do rifles, and then I have a couple non-gun items. But this case, the blue dot, is not original because that's my inventory number. I don't think this is a factory box, but it is period correct because I've seen these boxes before. They had a green felt interior. This is a 9mm commercial gun, and it has the crest. I believe it is Bolivian. It has the Bolivian crest, and there are guns with all different crests from South America and the United States, and they were selling these in the commercial market. And as a sales technique, kind of like that FN that I just showed you, as a sales technique, they would use the crest of the country it was going to. And again, I believe that is Bolivian. I will have to look it up. Has 2 spare magazines, the correct cleaning rod, and then a Luger tool, which I believe is actually a post-war tool. It is Mauser banner marked. I'm not sure if that is original or not. Again, I'd have to research it a little bit. All right, I want to just show you a couple more guns. I already showed you broom handles. This has a matching stock. So this is a correct stock, and it is a red 9 broom handle. They put the red 9 in there to signify that it was 9mm because they did use 2 different kinds of ammo. I believe it was 7.63 was the normal round for the broom handle, but the military ordered some in 9mm just because it would match the Luger ammo and they wouldn't have to get 2 sets of ammo. They could all use the same, and so with the 9mm, they used a red 9. Now, this one, the red paint has worn. Maybe they put some extra shellac on there, which caused it to turn slightly dark. But this is all original military red 9 broom handle, which will fit inside like this. And if you have the leather, it'll go around your waist, around your chest, or around your waist. So that is the red 9 broom handle. If we go to the end of the row, there's a couple navies down here. I just did a video about Navy Lugers. These are from World War I. These have the Navy attachments. This is the Navy holster, Navy pouch holding 2 extra. And you can see this, this Navy stock has the Navy marking here, and then a unit marking, which is WMA. I'd have to research that to find out who that went to, but 2 beautiful navies here. And let's quickly talk about the rifles, and then I have a couple non-gun items which you want to stay tuned for. I hope I'm not losing you. All the way on the end, you will see the Johnson rifle from 1941. I did a whole video. If you want to get a really good laugh, go to our playlist, Legacy Collectible playlist on YouTube, and just put in Johnson. And I think you'll, if you don't laugh, well, you will laugh if you watch that video. That's the Johnson. They were not used very much in the war because people preferred the Garand, but the U.S. Marine Corps did use those, and then after the war they were shipped out to other countries. This is a K98 with a ZF-41 scope, that's just a beautiful gun. I believe it is dated 1941. This is unusual. It is a Walther. You know how much I like Walthers. It is semi-engraved. It's not deeply engraved, but you can see it has an inscription. This was made before the war. It's a 16-gauge shotgun, and you can see the Walther banner. Now, some of you have been watching this whole time just to see what these are about. This is an MP35. But unfortunately, it shoots 9mm. It is Waffen stamped, all matching numbers, and there actually is an SS Waffen stamp here. So it was probably issued to the SS. Unfortunately, it is a dummy, meaning it was deactivated. This bolt was welded shut, and the bore is blocked. But if you have a registered receiver for this gun, this would make a nice gun that could be put back to original condition if you had the right permits and the registered receiver to go with it. MP35. And then the Sturmgewehr, this is actually did not come in. We've had this on the website. I just like to hold it. So I thought I'd bring it out and hold it again. The MP44 Sturmgewehr, beautiful gun, already on our site. This is full auto and registered. Finally, we have 3 K98s. They look to be in beautiful condition, but they all three have Russian X's on them. So they were captured by the Russians. They were put in storage. They're reworked and probably sold or given to other countries in proxy wars around the world. So the stocks were sanded, they were refinished, and they were given the Russian X, which if you haven't seen that before, this is dated 43 BCD, but right under there is the Russian X, which tells me it was reworked. So this is refinished, reworked, all matching numbers, and then the stock is renumbered to match. All the Nazi symbols are taken off of it. But shooter grade K98, these are very popular. I keep saying one more, but I wanted to, there's nothing special about this gun, but I wanted to talk about capture papers. This is actually a million series, PPK. It has the wrong grip. There's no way this was issued with black grips, but these are later war black grips. This is from 1938. The grips are from 1943. So I will swap out the grips. I will put an original set of correct grips for 1938. But the reason I wanted to show you this is this comes with capture papers. And there's two different kinds of capture papers. I see these quite a bit. Actually, the most common capture papers look more like this. And that is a standard form used mostly in the European theater. I don't see these in the Pacific theater very much. But this is a second type of capture paper. And you can see that this person filled out the information. The serial number is on the capture paper. It's signed by his commanding officer. And type of container, came home in his duffel bag. So basically he just threw this in his duffel bag, and he's among the few people who actually got permission. I think a lot of these, the vast majority, my guess is they just threw them in their duffel bag and didn't ask anyone. This one, capture papers. What I wanted to mention is how much does capture paper add to the value? Anywhere from 15 to 20% has been my experience, adds just because it documents the vet who brought it back. So I have a couple non-gun items. I know you guys get bored with non-gun items, but this was so cool. It is a hunting knife. And if you take a look at it, this is just so ornate, absolutely beautiful. So we got a puppy dog on top. We got a wild boar down here. We got a couple foxes here. And we look at the blade on that, just absolutely beautiful. And then a very small blade to go with it. So this is, the Germans were famous for their hunting knives and hunting rifles, in particular the Dreiling, which they were famous for. This was not a military dagger, but probably part of a hunting club. Goering was a big hunter, and Krieghoff, some of the high party officials would order these. This is made with antler. Just a beautiful hunting dagger. And maybe some of you noticed, so we got two, these are the campaign ribbons. This one is German, and this one a rarer Japanese. It kind of makes me feel, reminds me a little bit of the North Koreans. You know what they say about the North Korean army. I talked to a guy who did secret army testing, and one of the weapons when they were coming up with strategies to fight the North Korean army, they said all we have to do is get a huge magnet and run it over the battlefield, and all the generals will be lifted right up. Santa is completely surrounded. Just need my elves to come in and start listing all this stuff on the website. But I had one more thing. I keep saying one more thing, but this really is one more thing. This is a wound badge, and it happens to be a gold wound badge. The gold wound badge was for 5 wounds, and I think some of them would have to be serious wounds. So the gold wound badge is very rare to find, but this one actually comes with documentation, and I just got a kick out of this, so I had to share it with you. The guy was wounded 5 times. I certainly don't want to make light of his service to his country. You can see, if you moved in closely, he was wounded in 41, 43, 44 again, and then 3 times in 44. Incredible. Now his name is one of the reasons I wanted to show this to you. His name is Kurt Assman. If you look at that second letter, it looks like a B, but in the classic German, at least from World War II, the little I know, that little scriptic B is actually stands for double S. So Kurt Assman was wounded 5 times, which is bad enough, but I would imagine growing up he was psychologically wounded a lot more from people making fun of his name. It really does remind me of a Seinfeld episode.
Ass man? No, these don't belong to me. I'm not the ass man. I think there's been a mistake.
What's your name again?
Cosmo Kramer.
Cosmo Kramer. You are the ass man.
No, I'm not the ass man.
Can I help you?
Yeah, Dr. Cosmo Kramer, proctology.
Oh, okay. Sure, Doctor.
Yeah, thanks.
So Assman was, I believe that was Kramer's proctologist. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun today. This is really an incredible find for this week. It'll take us a while, but we will start getting these on the site almost immediately. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel and visit our website, which I can't tell you where it is, but you'll find it if you're clever.